In church this morning, we had Bible class before we had the main service, and the Pastor Mordiali, was using a catechism to instruct the people, and it's based on the Westminster Catechism, and this morning they were considering the first question in that catechism: what is the chief end of man? And the answer of that, of course, is to enjoy God and to serve Him forever. And so he was bringing out the teaching surrounding that overall concept, using scripture from Psalms, Romans, 1 Corinthians, and Revelation, I think. Pastor Mordiali is actually the Vice Chairman of the Malanda district of the Huli region, which is quite away from here, and down that way there has been fighting recently between two of the lines, and there's been 3 people killed in the fighting. It's still actually going on. And he was pastoring in an area where his line was fighting that particular group, and so he was in danger there in his previous pastorate at Migali in the Malanda district area. And so he, after a week or so of being in constant danger, he and his family were able to come up out of the area up to here. So he's acting as pastor here at the church at Bajagibi here at the moment. He, in his main service this morning, took the text, not everybody that calls me Lord, Lord will enter the kingdom, and he used this to emphasise the fact that all of us need to be Christians who are following the Lord with all of our lives and not just outwardly. And then at the end of the service, the lady that prayed and became rather emotional was just reflecting on this in her prayer and realising how good God has been to her over the years and how sin can get into a person's life, and the need for her faith to be, deep and not just simply a surface thing. I think that was the gist of what she was thinking about and praying about.
Human nature doesn't change. People don't change. Their skin does, and some of the way they think certainly does. But basically they're the same. We've found the Basavi people's sense of humour tends to be much the same as ours, and our appreciation and sense of humour is very much the same. But with any people, you've got to get some of the language at least before you can communicate and get those things across. These people in Papua New Guinea generally find it easier to accept vicarious substitution or suffering, because they have a system where, particularly in the Highlands, if somebody has to be fined or punished in some way, if he's got to pay pigs or nowadays money, all his friends will gather in together and help him. And from that angle, they find it easier to understand how Christ could have suffered for them, perhaps more easily than we could in our Western society. God emi light na inoga too dark ligligi staplonen.
God holina kersela. Ami solo English no haladim de men no solo ein de kersela.
Light or holin karun vioga. We were talking about some of the practices that they used to have before they became Christians, or before the gospel came, before outside influences came. They did have magic practices with leaves and things that were supposed to heal sicknesses or frighten away sicknesses. They also had some things were genuine traditional medicine, like the bark of a tree that they boiled for an inhalation, and pawpaw leaves to put on boils, and they used to boil water and tip them on their sores, which virtually cauterised it and healed it. And we were just talking about some of these things, and the animation was talking about the things that were magic, the things that were evil and associated with evil spirits, as opposed to those things which are traditional medicines. That was that part of it. But the aim of the whole thing was to just make it very clear that those who are now in the light, those who are Christians, have given away these things that pertain to darkness. And they were talking about some of those sort of things. And I was also saying how there's a tendency for people who've had a background like that to perhaps when they become Christians to trust the Lord in a situation of sickness or somebody they're frightened they might die, and just to have a second string to their bow, they tend to go back to the magic practices and think, well, whichever way it works, well, one of them might work. And it's very difficult for us to enter into their thinking because we've never been bound by evil spirits and never had that problem. So it's hard for us to understand how they could try and make the two work together.